Hey, it's Dan Shields here with Spotlight Speaker meeting for Network Las Vegas. So today we're going to highlight at least one of our speakers for today at our Network Las Vegas meeting. But before we dive into talking with Mark Peko today, before we dive in talking to him, just want to make sure that one, we thank you for joining us on this broadcast or on the replay. So if you're watching the replay, we appreciate it. We are doing this live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And so whichever platform you're watching on, be sure to like, follow, or subscribe, whichever makes most sense on the platform that you're watching on. But most importantly, share it. Share the video with your friends or others that you think this might be a benefit for. So we appreciate you being here again. Now, Network Las Vegas is a local networking organization that we've been around for about 2 years, and we basically network with other local businesses. Well, and I can't say local anymore because now we've got people all over. We've got some people from Arizona and California and all that, but we started as a local networking business before the pandemic. And of course, you know what happened during the pandemic. Everything changed. So, but we meet on the first and the third Wednesday of each month at 11:30 a.m. And the meeting usually lasts about an hour and a half. We'll have speakers that will present for us during that meeting. And so now let's, without further ado, let's go and bring Mark Peko on camera and introduce Mark. How you doing this morning, Mark?
Hey, very good, Stan. Thank you for asking. How about you?
I am good. I'm good. I'm getting over these sniffles here. I've got congestion and all of that, so I probably sound a little weird to those who know what my voice sounds like. Those that don't, just sounds like I'm talking through my nose, I guess. I don't know. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about who you are. Give us first the 30-second elevator speech of what your business is, what your business is, and what it does.
Okay. Well, again, I'm Mark Peko. I own the Peko Agency, Battleborn Insurance LV. We're a local independent insurance agency. We do a little bit of everything. We can help people out with their personal insurance, their auto, their home, their renters policies if they need, insurance for their toys like boats, ATVs, motorcycles, umbrella policies. We also do a lot of commercial insurance, as well as some health insurance and life insurance. So again, pretty much anything that you may need from the insurance world, we can help you on out, except for Medicare. Or if I was listening to the radio this morning about different celebrities that insure different things, if you're Mariah Carey and need your voice insured, I'm probably not the guy for that, but pretty much everything else we can do.
That's probably Lloyd's of London or whatever, right?
Yeah, I won't go over the litany of different things that celebrities were insuring, and because I'll probably get kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All right. So do this for us. Tell us a little bit more about your background. I mean, you've been in financial services and things like that, but but it hasn't all been insurance, right? I mean, you've been in other areas and whatnot. So tell us more about your background.
That's correct. Well, as it relates to this type of business, I've been in I worked for Citigroup. It was actually Citibank when I first started for them. And then ended up Citigroup. I was vice president for them. Did a little bit of everything, back office operations, customer service, just billing issues, disputes. And again, I was a VP for them and I left them after 18 years. Then I went on over to AAA Insurance, and I ran their 300-person claim center for a couple of years. Then went to their California home office up in San Francisco and Sacramento. Helped do some work in the back office up there, set up a couple of call centers, hired and trained people, etc. Came back as an area sales manager here in Las Vegas. Went on over to Farmers Insurance, worked in the district office for Farmers Insurance as what's called a reserve field manager, and then opened up my own farmers agency. Then a little over a year ago, decided to strike out on my own and leave the captive world and started from scratch again with a brand new independent agency. So during that time, I've also had my financial services licenses, um, 663 and 26. So I've done a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting stuff there. So you've been on both sides of the desk, or so to speak, or both sides of the wall, or whatever. So you're on the sales side now. That's more of what you're doing. But you were on the admin side, or the and
Claims.
the claims side, and all of that through a lot of it. So you've really seen both sides, and you really understand how insurance works from both sides of the coin, because most of us look at insurance as, how much does it cost me?
Yeah.
But we
And that,
really don't know about what goes on the back end of it, right?
yep, and what a poorly written policy could cost you in a claim.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest learning experience for me. Starting out in claims, I saw good policies and what they did for clients. I saw what poor policies wouldn't do for clients. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't spend your money, but I certainly have an obligation to make sure you understand the pros and cons, and the risk and reward of each one of those options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you give any examples? I mean, obviously, no names or anything like that, but are there any examples that you can give that, let's say, with maybe even with auto, that's probably the most popular, right? That everybody kind of gets better than any of
Yeah.
the other stuff.
Yep. I can give you maybe two. One is really, really, really common, and it's not a good thing. And then I'll give you
Hmm.
an example of a good thing.
Okay.
So, probably the most common thing that I saw when I was in claims is people would get into an accident. And again, I am not saying that it was the client's fault. I believe that every time that there's a failure in an insurance claim, with coverages, it's usually because the agent didn't spend the time to
Hmm.
talk with the client. But
Hmm.
somebody get their car in an accident and be in the shop for 2 or 3 weeks, and they didn't have rental coverage.
Hmm.
So by the time they finally made it up to me through the adjuster supervisor, and then finally got up to me, they're wondering why they paid all this money for insurance. They can't even get a car.
Hmm.
Well, because they chose not to. And
Hmm.
they allowed the agent themselves, probably allowed the person uh, to influence them. The extra $2 or $3 a month for a rental policy, um, as opposed to maybe having to pay $30 or $40 a day for a month for the rental,
Hmm.
you know, was probably not a well thought out decision on either part.
Right.
But but again, and sometimes it is the client saying flat out, just give me the cheapest thing I can get.
Hmm.
And at
Hmm.
that point in time, they live with it. But that's probably the most common thing. That no roadside assistance. I get that a lot. I'm stuck on the road. Can you send somebody on out? We can do that for you, but you chose not to have roadside assistance. So I
Hmm.
send somebody, but guess who gets to pay? You do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's little things like that.
Hmm.
Other things are coverage issues. Um, people want the state minimum,
Yeah.
uh, because it's the least that they can get in order to get their car registered. And then heaven
Hmm.
forbid they total a car, and the replacement for the car is maybe 35, 40,000, but they only have $20,000 in property damage.
Mm.
So the insurance pays that 20 and goes, "Thank you, I'm walking away." And guess who gets to pay the other 20?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
those are things that I'm not saying those decisions are wrong, but what I am saying is if the client doesn't understand what the options might be,
Right.
that sales process was wrong.
Right. Right. Right.
Now on the good side, here I'll do a flip side. What insurance can do for you. And I'm going way back in time. So these numbers that I'm going to talk about are probably from 2007, 2008. But when I was working as an area sales manager with AAA, we had a client that had decent coverage at that time, and still is very good coverage. They had $100,000 and $300,000 in bodily injury, but they were fairly well off. They lived in a very exclusive neighborhood. They had two or three vacation homes. They had all they drove were Jaguars and Mercedes and things of that nature. And we were trying to make sure that they understood the option of what's called an umbrella policy, which
Mm-hmm.
additional liability coverage on top of the base policy. Well, after about 6 months of talking with this person on and off, they finally bought a $1 million umbrella policy, which turned out to be very fortuitous. About 6 months later, his wife was involved in a very serious accident with a motorcyclist, and the claim was about 900 grand when it was finally settled. Had he not bought the umbrella policy, again, AAA would have been very happy. We would have paid 100 grand and walked away, and
Mm-hmm.
he would have been on the hook for the remainder. His
Wow.
assets, various savings, and things of that nature would
Right.
have potentially been up for grabs in a court settlement. Instead, he had an additional $1 million, so he, in essence, had $1.1 million in coverage.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up being about 900 grand. So, other than the emotional scarring of injuring somebody, he had no financial scarring.
Wow. Those are two really good stories. So, and that actually is a great lead in for really the next question. And that's, what are some of the most overlooked personal insurance? What are some of the most overlooked personal insurance needs?
Well, I would say that there's a couple that I talk about a lot, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not right for everybody. You never know until you discuss it with someone. The first one's an umbrella policy.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance is designed to protect your assets, designed to build kind of a wall around your assets,
Mm-hmm.
not to impede paying the injured party correctly, but to protect the things that you've worked your entire life for.
Mm-hmm.
So the most risky part of auto insurance, I'm sticking primarily with auto insurance, these first two options, are your bodily injury liability. If I destroy Stan's car and I need to replace it, there's a finite number for that, whatever it costs to replace it. But if I seriously injure you, what's that finite number? It
Yeah.
really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So the umbrella policy allows you to go ahead and add additional coverages to protect your savings, your physical properties that you may own, your boat, your car, your motorcycle, some cases your home and things of that nature, your stocks, your bonds and things of that nature. So that's out there. And a lot of people just don't realize how much they really have to lose. And then the other thing they don't realize is how inexpensive an umbrella policy could be. So for example, if Stan owned a home and Stan owned two vehicles, there are two drivers on the policy, and your driving record was decent. You didn't do this when you drove. You actually looked what you were doing and you had a pretty decent driving record. You get about $1 million worth of coverage for about $250 a year. That's $20 a month for $1 million
Yeah.
in coverage.
That's not bad. Yeah.
Not bad. And if you never use it, you feel like you wasted that 250. But
Mm-hmm.
use it once, like that one client I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty darn good investment.
Mm-hmm.
The next one on the auto policy is called medical payments. And
Mm-hmm.
we all understand liability. That pays other people. We all understand uninsured motorists, where you might get paid if someone else injures you. But
Mm-hmm.
medical payment is kind of a bridge. It's designed to offer medical cost assistance, regardless of who caused the accident. So again, let's say I'm in the car with Stan. Stan caused an accident. I hit the dashboard and break my nose, which is very reasonable with the size of my nose. But I break my nose and I have to go to the doctor. And let's say I have $1,000 deductible on my policy. Well, I don't want to pay that $1,000. I didn't cause the
Mm-hmm.
accident. Stan did.
Mm-hmm.
So I could go ahead and provide my bill, my hospital bill to Stan. Stan would send it in, and depending on the amount of coverage he had, they would pay up to that amount of coverage. So
Mm-hmm.
it works whether you cause the accident or not. It also protects prosthetics. So if you wear prescription glasses and they happen to be broken in a minor accident, or a hearing aid, things of that nature, those can all fall into that category. And again,
Okay.
it's very, very inexpensive. I
Mm-hmm.
call it friendship insurance.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is really on the home side. And again, people confuse home insurance a lot. They think your insurance is really related to your market value. which it is not. Your market value includes the land, your neighborhood, access to schools. Really, your home insurance is designed to protect the sticks and bricks, the physical structure, and the things you have inside. So this is where the other thing is overlooked. It's scheduling special items. So you have a piece of jewelry that is like a wedding ring or an engagement ring. You may have an expensive watch. You may have a collection of artwork or um, comic books. All of those things have some level of coverage within your home policy, but they most likely will not cover the actual value of that.
Right.
So you can do that. The other thing that, especially scheduling jewelry, if something is damaged or destroyed in a claim, that's one thing. But let's say, here's a real good example. One of my clients was on a cruise, and his wife was wearing a tennis bracelet worth about $9,000. They leaned over the railing, came back. The tennis bracelet got caught on the railing and ended up in the bottom of the Mediterranean. Well, that's really not a theft, and it's really not damage in your home. Your home didn't burn down. That's a loss. You just lost it. Called mysterious disappearance. Now we're scheduled. They got the value of that tennis bracelet back. Had they not, they would have been out the entire amount.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Those were some really good examples. Wow. I appreciate that. So, and we are out of time. So it's amazing how fast that 15 minutes went, isn't it?
It is.
So very good. Is there anything that you'd like to say? Excuse me. Anything you'd like to say to people watching? If they want to get in touch with you, we've got your info scrolling across the bottom of the screen. But, is there anything that you've got special going on, or any call to action that you'd like to give people that are watching?
Well, the only, and again, I wish I could go ahead and say I'm going to give you a discount. I can't. Insurance is regulated by the state. But what I would like to say is, if you have insurance, you probably do. You have 2 cars in a home. You're probably going to spend $10,000 to $20,000 over the next 10 years on that insurance. If you've got a policy, give us a call. Let us take a look at it. I may or may not be able to help you on out. I'll do the very best I can, but I can certainly make sure you understand what it is that you do have and what is covered and what's not covered. So it's knowledge is power, and that's the only thing I'd like to leave us with.
That is awesome. And I will echo that. Mark does a fantastic job of breaking down what you have and letting you know what you've got and what your options are, where there's pitfalls maybe, but also maybe where there's advantages. So he does a fantastic job with that. So reach out to him, talk to him, and see if he might be able to enlighten you a little bit with regard to the insurance. So, all right. So that is the end of today's broadcast. I just want to make sure that we remind you to make sure you follow, like, subscribe, depending on what platform you're watching this on. And if you have not joined us for one of our Network Las Vegas meetings, then please do that. It's on the first and third Wednesday of the month at 11:30 a.m. You can go right to the web address that's at the top of the page, networklasvegas.com, to get more info and to book yourself into one of those meetings. So come join us, and we look forward to seeing you, and we'll talk to you next time.